every day. Hey, y'all. Hey, I am happy to be back here today on the Wellness Plug TV. And I am your wellness lifestyle strategist. So today we got a special guest right here. We're going to let her introduce herself here in a second. But we're thankful to be here for a wellness day, of course, right? So we always want to just educate the entrepreneurs. And, even though they know some things, they don't know all the things, we want to make sure that they get their self-care in. So I always want to bring in the experts because the experts know what we need and essentially how they do things, and they like to share their stories. So here today we have Miss, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Nay Charisse. I am the owner and operator of Unify Aesthetics. I specialize in waxing, holistic waxing.
Hey. See, I didn't even know that. I mean, I remember some aspects to it, but I wasn't sure. But so we're gonna get into a little bit of that more in a minute. But how did this thing start for you?
Well, it was a rocky road, and I think it's very similar to some other people. I was actually working, well, I've been a licensed esthetician for about 5 years.
Wow.
I was not utilizing that license, right?
Wow.
And I had big dreams, I started out doing makeup. That's what I originally went to
Cool.
school
Okay.
for. And then I ended up somehow at a corporate waxing store, like the chain stores, kind of similar to like European Wax Center, but different. I got fired, and it broke my heart. I was very upset because of all the time and effort I had put into another person's business. And the same day I got fired, I was in a car crying to my mom, and she was like, "Well, this is your opportunity to start your own thing." And I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "You are very true." I wiped them tears up. And from there, that was probably about, it was October of 2021. So far, it has taken me on an upward trajectory. I started waxing from my house at first, took about 2 months, 3 months, saved up a little bit of money, came to the suite. So from there, I found a way to follow into entrepreneurship, which is something that I've always wanted to do, but I also had to find a way to incorporate my type of belief system into it.
Mm.
And that's where the holistic part comes in, because I find myself gravitating more towards the spiritual aspect of things and looking at things as a whole perspective and not just individual parts of it. So waxing was something that kind of fell into my lap, but I brought myself and my own personality and put my own little razzle dazzle into it, with the holistic part. I definitely want to do more. So waxing is only the beginning. I'm still in the beginning stages of adding to what the bigger picture is. Yeah.
And that's important because you just said that, you know, you wanted to put a little bit of you in it. And you, even though you've been doing this for a long time, you got a license, you've been doing this. Most of us, even when we do college, right? We take that, we don't even use those degrees. Do you hear me? Like, not at all. And so you spend all this money and you're invested in yourself, something that you think you enjoy. And sometimes you have to come back to that later on. But
Yeah.
just to hear the story that, you had to get fired to even see that, to keep you pushing, and you've been doing this since 2021, you said? Think
Yes.
about it. It's 2023 now. You've jumped fully into entrepreneurship. You had to put your gear on and go to war.
Yes.
So
Go to
I
war.
like that. You had to go to war. So tell us more about the holistic part of it. So some people say holistic meaning like, they use herbs, they use, different things. So what is it that makes your holisticness special?
For me and for my business, I'm not. I love taking a natural approach. Don't get me wrong. I'm always gonna try to find for myself and my clients, for my family and friends, the most unorthodox way to do things, or a way that is not going to make something bad happen per se. So I always try to find a more natural way to do things. But for me, when I think about the word holistic and how I incorporate it into my business, it's not so much on the natural product side. It's more about the authenticity of the product, and also the energy in the room is really big to me. Like, I am definitely going to utilize products that are going to be helpful for your skin, because I am a licensed esthetician, and that's, what I specialize in. That's my job. But I'm also going to try to find products that are not filled with a lot of chemicals or
Mm-hmm.
drugs, just so, so many things that you don't even know what you're using at
That's
this
right.
point.
That's
Right.
right.
So the brand that I go with is actually called Say Brazil, and
Mm-hmm.
it's actually a local brand. And that was another thing that was big to me. So the
Wow.
things that I incorporate, the products that I incorporate, I try to not just get what's the most
That's
natural,
right.
what's the most popular, but I try to also support. And that's another thing that brings in the holistic, is not just the individuality, it's support of the mind, the body, our community. That's the whole thing for me. Another thing that I hope to incorporate pretty soon is spiritual services like Reiki healing, crystal healing,
Mm.
tarot reading, things like that.
Okay. So getting into, like you mentioned before, that locally. So when she say local, y'all, like, so she's in DFW where I am. So I had to definitely put her on the mic because I'm thinking she's local like I am. And I wanted to get with her and see what she had like in mind just for even the business, the story that's behind it. So you hearing it here first, guys, on this. So, and that's why I'm gonna have to look into that business as well, because it's very important to stick within the community to find out what's going on in your community. It's even like, just like when we look up events and places to network and stuff like that, it's very important to be in the room, to get to know, these other companies that you can essentially work with, because just a while back you couldn't get stuff mailed to you, so it was really, really hard. So, for you to connect with somebody that's local, y'all, like, that's the whole point of, these interviews, to even connect with people that are really, in my area as well, and recognizing them as to what they do and what they specialize in. So again, thank you for that. And so I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. I know that, since you're into this, waxing things, could you tell us a little bit about what body parts you start?
Yes. So I wax all body parts, right? Of course, the most popular and the trendiest thing nowadays is intimate or Brazilian waxing. For those that don't know, it is the vulva. It's the vagina. It's it's that stuff. I do provide services for men and women, but women are definitely, they make up 95% of my clientele, and
Correct.
that's how it's always been.
That's right.
Um, I'm such an advocate for waxing. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you should be hairless from top to bottom. And if you don't, then you're not a lady. I'm not that person. But I am going to say it really can boost your confidence. And it's a mental, emotional, and spiritual and physical thing. Like, having a little less hair in certain places, it just makes you feel sexier. I just spoke to someone a few days ago, a girl I had just met, and it was a business meeting, but somehow we got into waxing, and she was like, I need to try it because sometimes I feel less sexy when, I got a little hair growing back and it's a little itchy, and it's because that's why I do it though, is because, it may sound minor, but it
Right.
makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference for sure.
It does.
So speaking of that, let me get ready for this question myself. Because I believe that, it does not only just make you feel sexy, it make you feel confident. Like you said before, it is a mental, emotional, and a physical aspects of it, because I had
Mhm.
my first one done, it's some years ago, and I'm not real fond of waxing. I can tell you that right now. But I am a person who likes to try some things, and I think it's somebody who introduced me to it. And so when I did it, I was like, oh, okay. But it wasn't bad. But it definitely took me for a shock. And it was a learning experience. The lady talked to me the entire time. So it was
Yeah.
like educating me. But what I like about it, like overall, like you said, it gives you that like power back. Of course, the only thing I didn't understand is like when it started growing back, it was different. But not just even in that area. You talking about the armpits, you talking about the legs. I remember growing up to where they gave us a shaver and just told us to go to work, and then you learn about razor bumps, and then you looking real funny, you're going to school, you got cuts all on your legs, your friends trying to find out. So it's real different now
Yeah.
that you grown. And that's why I like you guys to come in and tell us like the aesthetics of like why you do what you do and how you do it, and not only just that, but the importance of it, because it can actually, some people in some instances and some issues that they could be having could be caused by having those
Yes.
and so, and because I have a lot of clients that deal with bacterial, BV, and a lot of yeast, and all these different things. And most of my clients are women. And just to hear, their stories, and most of them are trying to work out, and it makes them less uncomfortable when they have to deal with those things on a consistent basis. So tell me if you know anything about like BV and yeast, that can kind of contribute to those issues, because I know it's got something to do with sweat in hair.
It does. It does. A big thing is pH balance, and
Mm.
hair can do a lot. Hair holds on to bacteria, it holds on to odor, and there's pros and cons to having hair. I know a lot of people will try to argue like having hair in certain places is actually best for you.
Mm.
I'm not a dermatologist, I'm not an OBGYN, but I'm just going by experience and what I've seen the past few years and the things that I've heard from people. When you don't have as much hair down there, or you're maintaining the area, not only is it beneficial to the surface of your skin, but also you're going to pay more attention to your pH balance, your odor, the dryness that you may have in that area. You have no choice but to, especially if you're doing something like waxing. And a big part of being a wax specialist is, you create a relationship with the client to the point where you can, if you see something wrong, you tell them. But naturally, through an appointment, you're being an educator as well. So it's not just about the waxing part, it's about the entire area. Like, how do we make this better? Because a lot of women, especially women in color, in my opinion, we're taught at a really young age to do some really unhealthy things that we should not be doing. Certain products, Summer's Eve, things like that. No, sis, I'm sorry. We can't. We can't. Like,
For
you can't.
sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of the things I was going to ask you. Like, I remember being a teenager and growing in a teenager, as a teenager. And I'm pretty sure some women out there have questions too. They may have young ladies, that need to learn some stuff, because we only can teach you what we know, right? So what would you say, like, even just for the armpits, like, for somebody that's growing hair, like, maybe 11, 12, preteens, going into teen, would you recommend that, or would you recommend something different?
As far as waxing,
Yes, ma'am.
I definitely would. Now, it's totally up to the guardian's beliefs.
Gotcha.
However, I remember being 11, 12, and
Mm-hmm.
having a little hair.
Too much.
Too
For
much,
me,
and
it was totally too much. And I was even telling like a family member the other day, I said, I was so hairy, like, I mean, because I got tons of hair. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God, like legs, and I ran track. So the legs have to show, the legs have to give. And I was a dancer too. The legs have to live. And so, with this hair almost the length of I don't even know what the length it was, but it may can be braided.
Mm,
And so I was real confused. So they hand you the shaver, and it was a man shaver. And what was so crazy is that, I believe I was having some type of allergic reaction to those things. But
yeah.
I can tell you to this day, I got hair growing in a funny little place, but the
Mm,
rest of it is smooth. And as hairy as I am and was at the time, like again, there was no education there. So
right.
I want to even, be able to say, hey, having you here today, we're gonna educate even, the parents to know, because we don't know, to educate the kids. So, and that's good to know.
Yeah, I definitely believe that waxing can be for most ages. Personally, or what you may hear more commonly, is about 10 and up, because that's
Mm,
typically where that hair
okay.
starts growing in, some more than others. But for young women, like intimate waxing, that may be a bit far,
Older.
but
Oh yeah,
starting
definitely.
somewhere, like the brows, that's a big thing for younger
That's true.
girls.
That's true.
The underarms,
That
those
is a
things
big deal.
help, and it gets them on track.
That's true. That's true. And then, I've heard a lot more about, and of course we already know it's the chemicals in the foods. It's a lot of stuff that, have changed since we were younger. We probably can stand outside and run out in the street and probably won't smell a certain way until, later on. But nowadays, these kids, the chemicals in the food, the hormones in the food, you can actually like, be like, hey, something wrong, but at the same time, these kids have to go to school, and they have to have confidence. Like, you don't want them to have that negative impact and negative thought, because I'm pretty sure some of us had that too, growing up, because the parents didn't know.
Right, right,
And like, I like the way you say, hey, this is about education. This is just not like, you just come in here. I'm going to let you know what you need for your situation, your body
right.
specifically, and then we're going to go from there. So when you educate these people, I'm pretty sure they just keep following in. How does that work? And what do
Um,
you recommend? Like, how often do they come back?
it's definitely once a month. That's the most
Gotcha.
popular
Okay.
trend. It can be anywhere from about 3 to 8 weeks. It depends on the
Mm,
person. It depends on genetics. It depends on a lot of things. That's the holistic part. If it was up to me,
right.
the entire waxing industry would be considered holistic, because
Mm.
so many parts you have to pay attention to. And the more intimate the service gets, the more you got to pay attention to. I think that it's usually a trend for once a month, and every time someone comes to each service, you have no choice but to dig deeper. The pain is really the last thing you're even worried about. You're more so, you're into it, it's become a part of your self-care. You're learning more, you're figuring out, oh dang, I've been doing this wrong, I mean, for a while. And then from there you got to choose, am I going to do better, or am I going to eat the apple, or am I going to eat the steak, that's
No,
kind of how it is.
that is a big deal, because I mean, like you said, now is essentially something. Well, it's essential to your lifestyle. This is something that you need to be dedicated to. It's more like a regimen. Would you say, like, it's something that you would have to include, into your monthly, regimen, instead of like your daily regimen? But it's so in between that time, you have to have an upkeep.
Yeah.
What is the upkeep? And even honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, like even up under your arms, because I went maybe like I used to go every month to a lady, and she moved out of state. So I tried somebody new, and I'm not sure what my lady was using, but it was wonderful.
Hmm.
But and she was using something that smelled kind of sort of like a cucumber, and it was green, and I think it was just more a natural approach, because she kind of know that I'm holistic and like, like the more natural approach. And because I was gonna go to sugar. And so she begged me. She was like, I got something good. It's still, something that she's been using. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna give it a try. I gave it a try, and I fell in love with it. I
Mm.
fell in love, and it's very rare. You can't sell me on nothing. Like you very, very, very rare that I go by. I'm telling you, like it's crazy. But I say all that to say is that, when I did use that, I can tell the difference between somebody else's products. So when I went somewhere else and they was like, oh no, I got you, I had a field day. It was the worst of the worst. And so, she didn't give me no kind of regimen, like no upkeep. like the other lady, I didn't need anything, but I felt a difference. I was like, something's different. And so I need to know what I need to do.
Right. There, you don't want to make it too complicated, right? It doesn't take a lot,
Right.
but it's just proven for, less is always more. So
Mm,
products, avoiding certain ingredients is really the key.
that's right.
But if we're talking about as a as a human, no matter what gender, using natural cleansing bars or
Hmm.
using natural cleansing soaps is a must,
Mm,
but also knowing where to use that product. A big thing that I want to point out is deodorant.
mm,
I'm really trying to get as many people as possible to switch over to natural deodorant because it's a big
it's a
difference.
big difference.
Yes. And you're gonna go through a process because you probably, although you're trying to use natural products, how are
It's
you
a
eating?
change.
How are you eating? Yes. And you're gonna go through
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So definitely, that plays a huge trajectory as your results come along. But me being already natural and I eat really well, and so that was what was different. It wasn't more so like the smell or anything. It was more so as to maybe I'm having some, allergic, some issues there. And so it was like she didn't ask any questions, which is cool. Hey, I'm not down to anybody, anything, but, I'm a service provider too. We have the questionnaire. We ask questions about skin, and she's an esthetician as well. So
Mhm.
you would think that, even I think it was just the importance behind it, for me, like, because I don't know. So if I'm coming to you, I'm looking for you to be the expert, for you to educate me. This is why I'm here. And so I went home. Oh my God, like I was itching all over. She was like, oh, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be fine. I was itching. It wouldn't stop. And so I waited a little bit till the hair started growing back in. And then I started doing what I do, naturally to it. Because like you said, I use natural deodorant. I use the chlorophyll, in the morning. I know what to do. I am the wellness lifestyle coach, so I'm like,
Right.
I know this. I'm an herbalist. I'm a, nutrition. I know these things. I'm a detox therapist. I know these things. And so it kind of was taking me for a loop. Like if I know these things, and I know that, as a service provider, we supposed to XYZ, what is missing there? So I think that's more so why I've shied away from, you see what I'm saying? From using that as an essential
Right.
need versus, because I'm always saying, forget it, I can just go ahead and do it at home,
Right.
and find me another way. Because if
Mhm.
you can't do it, I have to do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that is big with being a service provider. You're in a certain room, you have a certain amount of education, you're an expert for a certain thing, and it's your job to find the best way to spread the knowledge.
Mm.
It's like being a Christian, you got to spread the word. So
Yeah, the word. Yes.
exactly, so spreading that knowledge is a lot more important than even doing the service because, for instance, with waxing, if you come get waxed and I don't tell you nothing, I don't recommend no products, then you go home, you're going to come back with the exact same issues. Or, like in your case, you're going to go home and you're going to be like, what is going on? And you're going to try to find the solution for yourself. But as a service provider, it's our job to give you the beginning, the middle, and the end, the full thing, the holistic perspective.
And that's pretty much all, that's it, if you listen to her, y'all, like, this is education in itself, like, for you to even know, like, hey, it is an importance to the service that you're getting, so ask the questions if need be. Don't, when you say that, like, don't be shy to ask questions.
Don't. Do not be shy because there's a lot of things I know because I am an expert in this that you may not know, and that's totally fine because I'm gonna let you know, sis, and we gonna spread the word together. So
And the only way you can help them is if you know more about them. And I
yes.
tell people all the time, don't be shy. Don't look at the facts of who you are. This is not for me to judge you. This is for me to further assist you in the knowledge that I already have. And that's just like if you go to the doctor's office, right? You go in there and people think that, you know what, doctors know everything. They got education. Guess what they do? They still assess and evaluate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's any service provider pretty much has to do that. No matter how often you're seeing them, you meeting a person and it comes to something that's intimate, it's your health.
Mm,
Questions have to be asked, things have to be discussed. It's not an in and out.
it's
Even
not a
if you're
personal
like,
thing.
you're the tenth appointment in. Y'all been doing this for a year. Y'all been doing this for 5 years. It still takes discussion. It still takes commentary and questions because we're humans. We're not robots. We're not gonna stay the same way for the entire point of time. Like people change. The
That's right.
weather. We live in Texas. You know how the weather is.
That is so right. So yeah, and so that's why again, like I said, everybody, like I wanted to get her here so she can deep dive into, what's important about self-care. Like everybody knows that I love self-care. And now, that I got you on here and I've been educated on some stuff, I would take some things more serious on like because I had my issue with I work out,
Mm,
dance. I don't I'm a personal trainer, but I don't train. It's a lot. You got to give me a lot for me to help you there because the results are great, but at the same time, it's just that when I do dance and work out and stuff like that, when I was younger, I didn't sweat like that. And so I had some toxins to consume me and some issues that happened to me that kind of reflected on my health. So ever since then now, I sweat. My glands have opened because I had to open them to remove the toxins out, from my cells and from my body. Well, now I'm grown. That's what I can say. I'm going to use that word. And since I'm grown now, I have to make sure things are upkeeping
mm,
there and there. And so, and the reason for is because I am afraid of what can happen. Like this, just like you take preventative medicines. Y'all got to be aware of these things because some things is just not just the soap. It's not just what you eat. It's something that you could do essentially to keep, everything running like it's supposed to run.
right. Yes, that is so true. Like back to pH balance. If you're using natural deodorant, you getting waxed, you think you on your stuff, sis. But then you go home and you drinking Kool-Aid and I mean like yes, when you wake up, you're gonna smell something because it's it's in, it's out, it's mind, it's body, it's soul, it's everything. It's not just one thing until it is one thing. And then
Until it
you
is.
right, and you can usually pinpoint it if you take a look at yourself and
Mm-hmm.
have that same evaluation
Mm-hmm.
that you have with your doctor. You probably
Mm-hmm.
should have that with yourself,
Mm.
and it's gonna
Again,
won't hurt.
is you should know more about yourself. I mean, we know more about ourselves than anybody. Somebody can teach you, they can show you. Um, Even like how they say, hey, we can sit up here and teach you how to have more confidence. But if you don't want it,
You're not gonna have it
you're
then.
not
Yeah,
gonna have it then. So yeah, so that's the importance of being a service provider and actually educating behind it. Don't just give me a service and then don't tell me what I need to do. That's just like, giving you a bike and tell you to build it and then you don't have the instructions, it's gonna be
right.
all over the place. Huh? The wheel might be on backwards over here, and all that stuff. But make sure that I have some guidance between that time. And so tell me again, like, what's the aftercare after that? How long does that aftercare last before I have to see you again?
A regimen with waxing, it's a daily thing.
Gotcha.
You're gonna take about 2 to 4 weeks to really grow that hair back, but the way that the hair grows back is, it's a godsend. It's amazing. It's totally different. It's almost like magic. But in order to maintain that, it takes using a cleanser and actually cleansing your body on a
Mm.
daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
something that is going to hydrate your skin, it takes
Mm-hmm.
exfoliating. Oh, that's a big one.
Mm.
Exfoliating is
Okay.
something that people really miss out on, and it makes a huge difference. It can literally determine, are you going to get ingrowns in this process, or you're going to get
Mm.
rid of the ingrowns. Moisturizing is another thing. That's those are the three things: cleansing, exfoliating, and moisturizing. And once you come back, if you're doing all those three things, this is going to be a good process, sis. We're going to get it together.
So it's kind of
But
almost, they sound like a facial process,
yeah,
basically, like to make
it's
sure
the
you.
same. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's the
Wow.
same from head to toe. It's the same. You don't want to wash your face and then go outside if
Mm.
you ain't moisturized, because we already know what's gonna happen. You're not just gonna slap lotion on top of your face and call it a
I
day.
do. I
Oh,
do.
she
That's
said
me.
guilty.
That is so me because I like even in the wintertime, I was listening to somebody else the other day. They were saying the same thing I say. They don't use lotion. They don't put it nowhere. It was so weird. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I've been so hairy all my life. Look, all my life I had to fight, but so hairy all my life. And so putting lotion on back when I was younger was kind of like it was not supportive of me. And I used to get lost in trying to figure out what was the best for my skin that, has that, reaction to it, that traction to it. Like when you put on your pants and, you put on your fitted jeans or, something like that, it was not attractive to me. I didn't care about nobody else. So I stopped putting on lotion in the wintertime, in the summertime. Because look, when you're in the summertime, you're going to grease up some kind of way anyway. But and that's just my thoughts.
Right.
But I can say that since I don't like I do not like lotions, but I do like oils. It's crazy. I really
Yeah,
love my oils.
yeah. I'm an oil girl too. I am almond oil all day, every day. I got it sitting right next on my desk. I be, let me get some of that, just for no reason. But almond oils, I actually typically recommend oils: vitamin E oil and almond oil,
Mm.
aloe vera. Those three things. Thank you, Jesus, because those three things right there, they are meant to be moisturizers. They are meant to actually penetrate into the skin. I just want to put this out there for everybody that uses coconut oil. Stop, because it does not do anything but sit on top of your skin, clog your pores, and you wondering why you
Greasy.
right.
Greasy. Wonder
Grease.
why you greasy. And one thing I did learn about coconut oil as well. It needs to just be on your teeth. You need to be pretty like this. But okay, but what I was about to say is, even put it on your skin and then put it on your hair. It fries you. And
Yes.
so I even learned from some of my Caribbean friends and stuff like that. I think they can do it because the sun ain't as hot as Las Vegas. With them, and then they get the breeze and stuff. I think it's all about moisture. In general, and so just think, a lot of people put coconut oil there when they do the waxing. So I found that to be strange. I started adding it up. I'm just like, that's something, and that's a place I don't want to go because I already know if it don't work for my skin here, I don't want it to work for the skin there. Now, of course, it has its benefits,
Yeah.
antifungal, antibacterials, but those are only essentially for certain things in certain places. It can also be used like overnight to kind of help kind of fade away like dark circles. It's a lot of things that coconut oil can be used for, but not for the longevity, not to moisturize with.
Right.
Did y'all hear her?
Yes. Did y'all hear that now? But that is very true. I don't know where that
Mm-hmm.
myth came in. I don't know. I think people just seen oil and jumped
Mm-hmm.
on it. But you really gotta just do a bit of research or ask around, because in the waxing community, there's like a big thing about coconut oil being
Sure.
used. But if I'm being honest, we use that to clean our wax pots. We don't use that to for our clients.
Correct.
You gotta get in where you fit in with it. And coconut oil, yes, it is bomb for the teeth, but sis, on your skin, you might be looking crazy about a week later.
Oh, I swear. And it's just because, a lot of people like to Google things. And then I educated on like different oils. I love almond oil, I love jojoba oil, I love avocado oil is one of my favorite, and I love some aloe vera. I love aloe vera. And I was going to ask you one thing about aloe vera, just like, have you heard of when as a, not self-care, but as a care after, like that, like aftercare, um would you recommend like using it up on the armpit sometime, or?
Definitely.
Okay.
Actually, a part of me and my regimen, as
Mm-hmm.
far as in sweet,
Mm-hmm.
after I'm done waxing, I use aloe vera actually to clean up my
Gotcha.
client, because it is an antiseptic. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to get you clean, and it actually helps with your pH balance. Like aloe
Mm-hmm.
vera literally is everything. The hype is
Everything,
real, the
inside and
hype
out.
is true. Right.
That's right.
It helps. It's good for the inside, it's good for the outside. And I always tell all of my clients, like, go get you some aloe vera, but you need to
Mm-hmm.
get 100% aloe vera. You ain't got to
Mm-hmm.
get the plant, but if you're going to find somebody that
Mm-hmm.
makes it, make sure you look at them ingredients, because
That's
they'll
right.
trick you.
Go
They'll
cause some
trick
other stuff to
you. Right.
happen.
And then if you're looking crazy, I didn't do it. I told you what to get.
That's
But
right.
aloe vera, everything. I think it is the most important part
Mm-hmm.
of a
Mm-hmm.
regimen, because it can be used everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the great
Mm-hmm.
thing about it. It can be used in that area without having any type of negative effect to your pH balance or to the odor.
And then because I used to go and get my brows, what is it called?
Threaded.
Girl, I'm always in between wax and thread. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I just said forget it because I'm hairy and these eyebrows is woo. So I started getting them threaded. And my thread lady would always tell me castor oil and aloe vera all the time. And so at first I was like, girl. So, and she would clean me up with the aloe vera, and I'm thinking, okay, cool. But I actually started putting it into my regimen, like without thinking, like it was just like a regular thing. And so, since I don't come to you yet to get the wax,
Yeah.
I use a blade and I use aloe vera, and it been working for me. Like that's
Yeah.
the only thing that ever worked. If people tell you to use soap,
Mm-hmm.
even there, they tell you to use soap there. Oh, it's a certain type of soap I use or a certain type of shave cream that I use. And I have not found fun of those things. Those things hate me, and I guess I can use that word hate since it's not a person.
Right. Yes.
And so and that's what I use now. I'm talking about big jar.
Mm-hmm.
Big
Mm-hmm.
jars of it, the ones that that's real, that come out like a gel,
Yeah.
and you can put on your hair, so thick, you put it on your hair. And so I even I use that all the time,
Yeah.
so, and that's a big deal for me. So I'm glad you brought that up, that's okay to use.
Yes. It's essential to use. We're gonna take it up a notch.
Take it
It
up and
needs to be used. Like, it's everything.
But yeah, so again, like this is something that I always wanted to learn about, and that's why I looked you up and followed you, and I'm like, I got to know. And I love her page, guys. Like, she has terrific energy. Like, you have to go and follow her. So she's going to give you those details here in a minute. But I love her energy, and I love, the positive information that she's showing behind it. She has no shame in telling you, and even on her page in general, she's got all that stuff. So I'm gonna let her drop where she is, what she do, how she know, because this is something that I feel like, even when I tell people these things, I kind of just collectively like keep you on a Rolodex. You know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
like when people ask me, hey, do you know? And I'm like, yeah, I do know. Do you know this? Oh yeah, I know. I'm like your go-to girl. So that's why, it was one of the big reasons why I started this channel, is because I feel like it was very important for us to even not only just know our community, but once we get educated with the knowledge of people, we get to see the person for who they are, what they did it, for, and what's the real push behind why they do it. And here you are today. You like, what? I've been an esthetician. I've done these things. I know these things, but I didn't want to, trap myself down. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to work a job. And just to make a living. And then here you are, you know, you've jumped the gun. You the expert now. You're able to educate, not just yourself, but and keep learning from it, right?
Right.
And to
Yeah.
share in the community. So, do you have any events coming up here, or what do you have going?
Well, just working, honestly.
That's good.
My availability is always open. I am not a person that's going to say I'm not accepting new clients because I'm always
Mm,
accepting new clients. You just got to work with me. I always have availability on the weekends. We're
mm-hmm.
working on opening availability throughout the week. We'll get there, but I'm located in Plano, Texas, kind of like on that border of far north Dallas. My Instagram is unify underscore aesthetics, just like esthetician.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am really big on posting my availability. I contact people sometimes. If I reach out to you, you better message me back. We
Mm.
out on the best waxer in Plano, Texas, and you don't want to do that.
I like that. I like that a lot. And I wanted you to also share with us a word of wisdom, or even just something that you think that they can take from your background skills, the education behind it, waxing, or anything as an entrepreneur.
I definitely always follow with this, and this is something that I wouldn't just leave for entrepreneurs. I would leave it for everybody. Is really simple. It sounds simple. Is to allow. I think that's a big
Mm.
word for 2023. Anxiety is a thing. Distract.
Mm.
But my key word for this year is to allow things to happen no matter what you believe in. Allow the universe to guide you, allow God to guide you. Whoever you believe in, if you believe in yourself, allow that guidance, allow it.
That's good. And just to even piggyback on that, allow this moment
Yes.
to be assured for you. A lot of us are stressed out. It's a lot of things going on in the world right now. But allow yourself to take this time and evaluate yourself too. And if
Yes.
you don't evaluate yourself, then it's going to keep you right where you are. You're going to keep coming back to this stumbling setting of your life to where you don't understand it. And it's just going to keep recycling itself until you allow you to forgive yourself, forgive others, take this moment in, understand that this is not somewhere you're going to be on a consistent basis, and keep pushing. You heard her story. Even that was in 2021, she still allowed herself to move forward and keep pushing. So I
Yes.
love that word for you. I love that word for you for this year.
Yes.
That
Thank
is a
you.
really good word. And again, thank you so much for coming on here educating us. We may have to have you on one day to where you can show us exactly what's going on, especially these arms. And then on top of that, maybe we need to just do that, when I come, look, and go from there. But I enjoyed you. I enjoyed the time. I, again, appreciate you solely for doing what you do, especially in Plano, Texas, in my area. And again, she's in Plano, Texas. So you guys, it's not that far from Dallas. Give yourself that drive to go get you something that you would enjoy, and especially with the person that we enjoy that with. Because now you got to have a relationship.
Yes.
So get you somebody you can have a relationship with, in these services. And we'll see you next time. And then before then, y'all go find me on Instagram and follow and like and share, because when I share these stories, I share everybody else's stories as well. And y'all have a good one.